including in the New York Times, and you know where I'm going with this, about a handful of meetings, if not more, that you took with Jeffrey Epstein after he had been convicted as a sexual offender.
Yo, this is the Scarcity Studios YouTube channel. Please don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe. And our sponsors are Alpha Claims and Hire Birmingham, the leading and best accident management company. Get a replacement car anywhere in 1 hour. I really appreciate you joining me today, and this is a late upload, and I really appreciate everybody that joins us for them when they get the notification. And don't forget to turn on your notifications to keep updated, to keep up to date with the latest news. This story has been trending on Twitter. It's a very popular story, and it's not the first time that I've covered Bill Gates. He's a very controversial billionaire, and nowadays he's more known as a philanthropist and has donated over £30 billion to charity. But recently the news broke that his wife of over 20 years, Melinda Gates, has filed for divorce. But the Wall Street Journal has came out today and said that she filed these divorce papers back in 2019 when the ties with Jeffrey Epstein came about. Initially, Bill Gates denied ever really knowing Jeffrey Epstein. They had no business relationship, but it emerged after an investigative journalist called James Stewart from NSBC did an investigation and found out that Bill Gates had met Epstein at least 6 times. He travelled on his private jet and stayed late night in his New York Manhattan mansion discussing multi-billion-dollar charities that Epstein would benefit from. And these meetings were in 2013. Epstein was already convicted of soliciting children for sex back in 2008. But in reference to the article, they say that Bill and Melinda Gates announced their split last week, and it has been in the works for a long time. Miss Gates consulted with divorce lawyers 2 years ago after she filed papers for divorce against Mr. Gates, saying their marriage had irretrievably been broken. According to people familiar with the matter and documents reviewed by the Wall Street Journal, the 56-year-old philanthropist has been working with lawyers at several firms since 2019 to unwind the marriage of more than 25 years. According to the documents and people that are close to it that spoke to the paper, they said that last Monday the billionaire couple announced the ending of their marriage in a joint statement on Twitter. They said, "We no longer believe we can grow together as a couple in this next phase of our lives." The couple hasn't said what prompted the split, but it has been revealed that there were sources of concern for Miss Gates of her husband's dealings with the convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. According to a former employee of the charity, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Miss Gates' concerns about the relationship dated back as far as 2013. They go on to say the couple negotiated the divorce throughout the pandemic and lockdown. The documents have shown that have been read by the Wall Street Journal. They have 3 children and all of them are over 18 years old. The youngest is a senior in high school. According to the documents reviewed by the Wall Street Journal, Miss Gates and her advisors held a number of talks in October 2019 when the New York Times reported that Mr. Gates had met Mr. Epstein on several occasions. Mr. Gates once stayed late at Mr. Epstein's Manhattan townhouse that was reported by the Times at the time. Bridget Arnold, a spokesman for Bill Gates, said in 2019 that the software mogul and Mr. Epstein had met multiple times to discuss charities. Bill Gates regrets ever meeting with Epstein and recognises it was an error of judgment to do so. Mr. Epstein died in jail in August 2019 while he was awaiting trial for federal charges relating to sex trafficking of minors. Miss Gates, a global advocate for women and girls, had told her husband she was uncomfortable with Mr. Epstein after the couple had met him in 2013. The former employee of the Gates Foundation said that Mr. Gates and some employees of the foundation continued a relationship with Mr. Epstein despite the concerns of his wife. The Daily Beast newspaper reported in 2013 about Miss Gates' concerns with Epstein. When asked about the relationship with Mr. Epstein in a September 29 interview with the Wall Street Journal, Mr. Gates said, "I met him and I didn't have any business relationship with him." A spokesman for Mr. Gates, who is 65, said that he stands by his 2019 statement to the Wall Street Journal and declined to comment further on the subject. Miss Gates also didn't respond to any questions about the reasons for her seeking a divorce. In early 2020, Mr. and Mrs. Gates surprised many people when they said they wouldn't attend the Economic World Forum in Davos, Switzerland. This was an annual gathering of businesses and world leaders that the power couple had attended many times. A few months later, on March the 13th, Mr. Gates said that he was resigning from the boards of Microsoft and also the Berkshire Hathaway Incorporated. The Microsoft co-founder said that he planned to focus on his charity efforts more in the future. By that time, the Gates were already in discussion to divide their vast wealth. According to people familiar with the matter and the legal documents, legal teams on both sides were privately in discussion with a mediator to work out the separation for a long time. Miss Gates' legal team included a New York divorce lawyer called Robert Cohen, and the documents showed that Mr. Cohen had represented Michael Bloomberg and also Ivana Trump in her divorces. Mr. Gates had star lawyers that included Ronald Olson, who was a partner of the firm Moguls and Olson LLP, and represented Mark Zuckerberg, among others. Mr. Olson is a board member at Berkshire Hathaway, where he sat alongside Mr. Gates and Mrs. Gates and their friend Warren Buffett. The May the 3rd divorce filing of the couple had agreed to the separation and to divide their assets. Their fortune is estimated to be worth £130 billion, and this was estimated by Forbes magazine. Their assets include a $131 million lakeside compound in Washington state called Zanada 2.0, and they also have a Leonardo da Vinci notebook and investments in Microsoft and Four Seasons hotels. Last week, Bill Gates' investments were transferred £2.4 billion worth of public shares to Mrs. Gates, and some of them with a stake in a car ownership AutoNation Incorporated, and also a Mexican broadcaster and a Canadian railroad. The Gates have said they would give away most of their wealth, and they have donated £36 billion to the Gates Foundation over the years. They said that they remain co-chairs of the foundation and jointly will lead it following the divorce. So this is some really shocking news that is actually breaking today. And to actually discover there was so much discussed about this previously, going back to the 2013 James Stewart expose, where he actually discovered that Bill Gates had met Jeffrey Epstein.
Insisted he did not have any business relationship or friendship with Epstein. But new reporting from the New York Times outlines numerous meetings between Gates and Epstein.
And this has all been going on in the shadow of the Ghislaine Maxwell case, where she's standing trial in America for soliciting children for sex trafficking. Sadly, Jeffrey Epstein wasn't able to face justice for his crimes, and he allegedly killed himself in his prison cell while being on suicide watch. The latest news on her trial says that she's likely to cut plea deals, but rumours circulate that she has risks and threats around her name in relation to the people that knew Epstein. Ghislaine Maxwell is likely to be negotiating a plea deal with prosecutors, they said, and Spencer Kuvian, who represents Epstein's victims, believes she may meet the same fate as the billionaire paedophile who died in jail in 2019. This week, a judge agreed to Maxwell's request that the trial, which was due to start in July, be put back to the end of the year after the prosecution added more charges. Maxwell is now 59 years old, and she denies any wrongdoing and has pleaded not guilty to sex trafficking and other charges over her alleged role in getting teenage girls for her former lover, Jeffrey Epstein, between the years of 1994 and 2004. The court actually released a picture of her having a black eye, and there was no actual explanation for why this happened. They say Ghislaine potentially has information going back 20 years, and not just Epstein but other people inside his circle. They believe that she may try to use others as bargaining chips in her plea, and they believe other celebrities may have been involved. Maxwell is being held in restrictive conditions in prison, and guards are checking on her similar to Epstein every 15 minutes. More and more women every single day have come forward to testify against Epstein and the paedophile ring that he operated. And Ghislaine Maxwell was the British side of it. She was the one that got him connected to people like Prince Andrew and the victims that existed here. So I feel this is a really important story, and definitely not the last time we're going to be discussing this. I'll be back again very shortly with some more news. I really want to hear what people have to say on these stories, and please comment any topics that you want discussing on the channel. I'll be back again very shortly with some more news. Please don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe. Peace.